Good morning, everybody. It is a Saturday. We're doing lots of Pokemon unboxing, and of course, the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Case 5. Let's get this started. So, split up into two big parts, which will be divided into smaller parts. Definitely a high YouTube situation. That one person who stays into Case 5 is going to see that high YouTube. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Now I need to. I've been working on my British accent by hanging out with some British people.
Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited breathlessly in the stillness.
Yeah.
The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear.
So it's like a motorcycle?
Look well, Wilson, Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. For this is the diabolical Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yeah, there's already a lot going on that I'm just like doubting. That didn't take long. One more pocky. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first on in the day we arrived in the country, and it's Seki-san's terrible ordeal that has followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which was hardly surprising, of course. Silent, since I was nothing more than an amateur, unknown suiting the law in a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. Knock, knock, knock. Yeah, they put a Daruma there. That morning, I was woken in an unreserved knocking on the door by a telegram boy. But after he'd gone, I'm moving my TV so I can like sit back and read. Susato-san's behavior became obviously strange. Susato-san. Yes. It's time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave it for court in a fighting fit form. Is she going crazy? Let me see. What? Oh my god, what case is it today? Here we go again. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose the Seki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which means he should have completed the voyage already, but just a few days away. A fortnight ago, we had the very long telegram from him. Do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. Well, by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Nodohodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Saseki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean as regards the Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes. I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled insignificance into this case. What did it say that no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. But at least Saseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means... that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps. Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean that he wields the sword of justice himself. Have you been watching Rolo? Normally I would watch her, but the problem with me and Rolo's streamer buddy relationship is occasionally I will go and watch what she does. And I will support her stream, I'll drop a few bits every now and then, right? But she's playing this game too, and I'm currently playing it as well. And especially when the Somnium files come out, we're both so into the game that we just won't talk about the game. So I won't talk to her about the game until I'm done. But I popped in a couple times and just said, good luck, I'm leaving. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against the more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. I'm actually glad Rolo's doing well for himself. She's getting a nice average amount of people in her stream. Apparently, Lord Van Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh, yes. Since the Seki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before when he wasn't seen in court for all several years. So it's just been me who had to face him in his recent spate of trials then. Yeah, just my luck. I'll try and, oh, it is her birthday. I'll try and pop in. Sorry, what was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, twitch.tv/rollercoaster and twitch.tv/Lord Shiro. And Lord Shiro also has a YouTube channel where he has also played this game and isn't uploading his run through. Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Iris. What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. It's a violin. Ah, yes. You noticed that, didn't you? Hurley isn't the best form this morning, it seems. Hello. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. A good morning. To die, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. I think of that anime face where it's, I forget her name, but she's the one in We Never Learned Bokuben. God is dead, Yuiga. Yuiga. Damn this blanched existence. That's all it is. My dearest fellow, nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. By the way, is this the final trial of, like, the first game? Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me. If it's not too much trouble. Meow. Aww. Hello there, little guy. Oh, we took the cat! Oh, look! It's Wugeye. Good morning, boy. Okay, that must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Sholm's desk. You seem very unhappy this morning, Sholmes. What happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus, its mellicent tones would make flowers bloom. It would. But now the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even, though the night I have endeavored to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone, gone forever. No more recitals. Unbridled emotion. Oh no. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man, the next they unmercifully withdrew it. Oh dear. Why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin for me, what is left for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what was there. Well done, Mrs. Sato. Your observation skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes, they pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great at analytoscope? That's the Windy Books now. That's at Windy Banks now. Sorry? It's at Windy Bank. No, Windy Banks, the pawnbrokery. Pawn? What? You mean you've pawned the enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But, isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed you what little income I have to you. Dear madame, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate? Making us a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is. It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? What do you mean when you said we don't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokers are akin to banks. Bank? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and tappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windy Banks, you see. A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought even a pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain? Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. God is dead. Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled in this new home and then. Oh, yes, and I've become very attached to the little waggy. Huh. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews as empty as the hearts of the muses. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason, terrible things can happen as the rules of passage are obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I've never seen that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed. You're observant, Bruno. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flapomat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats. That's right. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker to just make the cat flap rather than making the machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door or office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Meow. Oh, what was that? Wakahai? Wakahai? What was that? Wakahai? Oh no. Wakahai's tangled up in your violin! I think he thinks it's a toy. No. What's he doing to it? Oh dear. Mr. Sholm's precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I... No. Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives. Shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Oh, this is a violin, isn't it? It's the Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there a reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none. Mr. Sholmes? What, dear madame? What, my thoughts are preoccupied with fancies the release of this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? Hmm? What do you mean, Miss Sasato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all, I'm sure there's no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe it's an entirely different instrument, called a viola. What? 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 Mr. Sholmes, are you alright? You're right, you are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is the piece of stringed Flostum? Not your faithful performing partner, then. But the cat tussled with it, so they can't return it. I see what must have happened. You do, Iris. This is just a simple mix-up. Big plot twist. Also, hi, Derpy. Something Iris might be able to tell us exactly what happened if we ask her. There's your music. Should I just leave this on and go to break? What do you mean by a mix-up, Iris? You know what's another mix-up? I didn't change the description of what I'm playing on Twitch. I like the crabs. We need more crabs. The bees are cute, but I like the crab emote. What do you mean by mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this violin... Sorry, this viola, I mean... was at Windbreaks until last week. At the pawnbroker's. Not Chom's beloved musical partner? There we go. I get the crab rave party going. There's a proverb from the East in which you have no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in hope that it would experience personal growth. Oh, what a wonderful idea. Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear that Mr. Windbigbank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. Fine state of affairs this is, and why always say, Mr. Naruhodo? Never trust a pawnbroker, they will try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbroker as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry. Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect, pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency of which we are faced? We must visit Mr. Windybake's broker at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Miss Sasato. Without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to press your egg ever more obtusely? Alright, say no more. Let's go, then. Don't worry, Rona, I'll be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. I'm curious why it gave me access to Baker Street, but... So this is a British pawnbroker, eh? Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Ah, Sasada-san, spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? Hey, look, it's the Thinker! Hold on, I think there might be a lot of references in this room. Hold on. I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a really thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. I feel like the horse statue is something else, but I'm not getting anything from it. We're calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruto, and it's time to inform Mr. Winterbeak of our ire. Come! The fight is afoot. I'm just scanning the pawn shop for stuff. That's all I'm doing right now. The skull is ringing a bell. I don't know why. I know this is obviously. I I feel like I've seen skull with a top off somewhere in the series. I just don't remember, but I feel like I've seen it. It could also mean references to like other games that I haven't played because there's more in the original series. Naturally, you will call this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. The second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Winterbank. The color of the wood is different, it has holes in it, it's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An excusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends. Holy shit! Okay, sir. I have to take my own life. Dude. I don't think that will be necessary, do you? If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storm to fetch your violin when I heard, ah, here it is. You did. And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No, no, stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Phew. It would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Winterbank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you? Huh. I do believe you may be right, sir. Ha 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 ha. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. And I need to remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past. Oh, peculiar items. In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of eponymous work, the novel of Herlock Sholmes, of some such. Oh my, a new, full-fledged novel. And unpublished. A story I've yet to read, you mean? Ah, forgive me. Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. I must know more. Tell me everything. Wow, Sasada-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windybank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir, not a farthing more. It holds to something very great value indeed. The lady's manuscript recounting the adventures of one Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I beg your pardon, manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I'm confident it'll be quite safe here. And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely. Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. This is all very strange. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that stable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. When? So you say she's streaming today. What time? Do we have like a time? Now he's keeping that gun. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry. Ah, but for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. If she starts in 20 minutes and it's her birthday, I will host her. Because I'm really hungry right now. And I want to eat breakfast. I've heard that pawnbrokers are used rather like banks here in London. 9:12 Eastern. Yeah, let me know when she pops online. Indeed, many of our customers utilize the establishment as you described. I appraise the items and offer them as proportionate loan of 2 months to secure stowage. If that in that time they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. But what happens if they don't pay the money? It goes for sale. Yep. As you can see, the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before 2 months has passed, then? That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Windybank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually, says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windybank has installed here in his shop. I call it the red-handed recorder. Pop goes the weasel. It's not so, Mr. Windybank. Huh. What was that deep sigh about? What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. It developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image, even in the darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. I like the dolls. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look. So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. Taken at 30-minute intervals. Indeed, as you say, my dear madame. Then what if the incident were to occur in between times? That's what I was thinking. One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess, your devices have been giving me some cause for distress as of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Windybank. Surely they're anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not 1 but 2 cameras in my shop, after all. which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Make it motion censored. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know. My dear fellows, we've reached an age where safety and security come at a price. Heaven help us. Now then, Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Windybank. Perhaps this might mark the end of a peculiar item you try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. He's gonna kill himself the moment he notices the fucking violin's wrecked by the cat. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry. I've only loaded the single bullet, so no one but myself could be possibly harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you, then, Mr. Windybank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. Good God, this guy. So, Mr. Naruhodo. Now we can explore at last. What assortment of things there on these shelves? Crockery, footwear, clocks, and watches. Almost anything you can imagine. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does it really mean, though? When you pawn or quickly pop an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it. I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform never embodies my student spirit. Look at this. What could this lovely, big, shiny box be? That, my dear dam, is a music box. Surely would have such things in your own country. Oh my, yes, but I've certainly never seen one large before. Shall we listen for a while? What a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. The particular specimen is of the larger variety commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There is a metal disc inside which notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness. What a simply delightful machine. Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Yeah, the gramophone got big. Huh. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. No fucking kidding. Look at these enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Windybank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself in all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you Mr. Windybank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd blow his brains out? Indeed. In recompense for his blunder. Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room where Mr. Windybank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity. Recommend or not, it's not something I tend to do. There is but one key, and Mr. Windybank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Sholmes? I am a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I have frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder. And the prime suspect in this pawnbroker is ever burglared. It's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's the date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It's an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windybake. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong victim violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period is passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh, yes. I can see you're very dedicated to your job. Look at all the different things in the window of view of this shop. Ah, that's Windybank's, the pawnbrokery. It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan. Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops in this home rather unapproachable, personally. It reminds me tearfully of parting away with my favorite fountain pen, if I felt so miserable. Also, what's up, Zero? What doesn't kill me, it makes us stronger, Mr. Naruto. Also, twitch.tv/ZeroDragon275. Feel free to check him out. He does a lot of gun games. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruto. He's okay at the games. I mean, he's not as good as me. Just kidding. Just picking a fight at this point. Do we live right fucking there? It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings about Mr. Shum's office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, not one regret. Streamer versus viewers? I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. I've done, like FGC fights against viewers before. It's nothing totally new. Tekken at one point. I've even played Pokemon. Strangers in Paradise. Another... Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It looks like a radio. Seems to have 2 little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, dear fellows. What are you looking at is a stereoscope. Stereoscope. Fascinating. Ah, okay. That's pretty funny, actually. That plain name, I assure you. Look through the eyepiece and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. However, that is beyond you. It is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, you must see. At once. Alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. What the? I don't believe it. Also, is that the juror from before? It's a photograph of him, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. Why are people meddling with such black magic? Black magic? It is no magic, my dear madame. It is, well... Yeah, I figured it was a juror. The maid, right? Far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. Oh. Three globes of gold. Is that some sort of charm? Dear me, have you seen that sign? Not seen that sign before. No, never. The three golden balls are, Great Britain at least, a universal sign of a pawnbrokery. There are more than 700 such establishments in the capital, all showing the same sign. Oh, I see. It's both black and white magic. Huh. I had not imagined your ignorance was so profound. Oh well, what is the significance of three golden balls then? Does it have something special meaning? That is entirely unimportant here, dear madame. Irrelevant, even. You mean you don't know? Look at this. Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. There's a small catch here. Just look. We're going to open it, aren't we? Oh my, that's amazing. That's some sort of spring-loaded mechanism. I'm just zooming in on something. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. Nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. Feels as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. What? Only tuppence for it? That ain't fair, and you know it. The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I can't afford more. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. And you ever had a proper butcher's at it? I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Oh, look who it is. Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her. Oh, yes, it's the young lady from the McGildred trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earnest and a crust among large crowds, or even people of their purses. What commonly called the pickpocket. Gina Moist Arrive Music? What the fuck? What is Moist Arrive? Gordon Bennett, you lot. Oh yeah, no, she be packing heat. There it is. Hello, Mr. Lestrade. Miss Lestrade, I hope you've been well. Eh, what? You remember me then, do ya? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So, what you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us? Nothing to eat? Come to pop that black weasel sorry coat, have ya? What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Ah, good day, unless I'm much mistaken. Oh. Yeah, you picked like the worst combination of two words to pick an emote there, Shiro. See, when I seen Gina Moist Arrive Music, I was like, have a seat over there. You, the young pickpocket with the experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. So, you have something valued upon, do you? That's a lot of Gina there, Shiro. Allow me to see the article. I shall negotiate with Mr. Winterbeck on your behalf. Pull the other one. I don't need help from Miss Stuck-Up D. Get out of my business. Go on or I'll make trouble for you. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your presence. Heh. I also have like 5 more slots for emotes that I'm not using. I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What is that huge thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc. And you, go on. Let me alone. Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended by the slightest. Just Addison can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever.